Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Tech Spotlight session. Today we have Ginger here joining us from ReadSpeaker. She's going to go through their exciting tools and show you how they work. I'm very excited to see all this. My name is Mike Morata. I'm the director of the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center. I'm excited to be here moderating our session today. I've turned off all your mics, and you're welcome to turn your cameras on if you'd like. We have the chat going. If you have questions, I would probably say throw them in the chat, and Ginger will get to them as she goes. I'm sure she has kind of a flow of what she wants to do. We're scheduled for a half hour, but I had said to Ginger, if there's questions, we can continue on. So if you all have questions, feel free that you don't have to squeeze them into the half hour. If you have a couple minutes to hang afterwards, we can do them then. So without further ado, I will stop talking as I promised. And Ginger, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. And ReadSpeaker is more than just text to speech, supporting individuals with low vision and other visual challenges. Colleen is not able to be with, whoops, that was not what I wanted. Okay, that's what I wanted. Colleen is not able to be with us today. She is out on medical leave. I am the Educational Development Manager at ReadSpeaker, and basically that means jack of all trades. It's everything from onboarding training, providing educational materials that folks may need, and that can be in a K-12, a higher ed, corporate, or other environments. Now, a few things about ReadSpeaker. We all know that if we practice UDL, it's good for everyone, not just a few. ReadSpeaker has over 300 voices in 68 different languages. Accessibility tools are compatible with many proctoring solutions. And you might say, well, what does that have to do with the workforce? Well, a lot of workforce training does use proctored environments, especially when doing certification tests. Products are easy to implement and use. It's as simple as clicking listen, which you see at the top. And we are celebrating 25 years of voice. Oops. And, oh, poo. There we go. And we understand that you guys are celebrating 30 years of service, and we would like to congratulate you on being at this point in time. Now, Abraham Lincoln has a famous quote, and it says, when I read aloud, two senses catch the idea. First, I hear the word, I see the word I read. Second, I hear it, and therefore I can remember it. Abraham Lincoln was one of the first bimodal or multimodal advocates. And he's saying right there, he's using two senses, and that's what multimodal is, using two or more senses. And recently, April, the DOJ came out and said, hey, all government websites must be accessible. Now, they had already tackled college websites and learning management systems and K-12 websites. That's already come and gone. That's past tense. Now they're going on to government websites, and pretty soon it's going to be other websites beyond government websites. And to think about it, it's excellent to have that type thing available. And the DOJ gave folks 2 years, basically, to get their websites in order. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at 3 scenarios, and you're going to be asked to participate. You can't just sit there. We're going to meet Armand. Armand wants to go back to school, but he finds college websites difficult to navigate. He's a first-generation English learner, and he's colorblind. Okay, please put in chat what type of accommodations you would give to Armand. I'm not seeing anyone typing. Somebody type something. Text to speech. Anything else? All right. Let's look at this particular website, Good Samaritan College of Nursing and Health Science, and it has ReadSpeaker embedded on it. So let's say this was a website that Armand was investigating. He could highlight what he wants to read, or he could just click listen up here. It's going to read the whole website then.
Good Samaritan College of Nursing and Health Science is a private, nonprofit, Catholic college founded by the Sisters of Charity.
All right, so he's able to read it. Now, that does not help with navigation. However, Armand could be looking at things where the DOJ's ruling and past rulings would help make those websites more navigable. It's got too many syllables in it. And with that, you stop and think about good navigation is not just good for Armand, it's good for everyone, because if the people visiting your websites cannot find what they need, then they're not going to stay there. They're going to go somewhere else. And you're wanting to attract people to your websites. So by practicing UDL, you are making it more accessible. Now, the next thing that I saw is color contrast options. Well, in ReadSpeaker, in settings, we have the ability to change the word and sentence color. And depending on the color blindness that Armand has, because you can have partial color blindness and full color blindness, I'm going to treat this like full. What he would do is he would click underline for the sentence and choose one of the first four colors from the left, the light green, light blue, light yellow, and bright yellow for the word. And now let's look at how that looks with just this much.
Time's close. GSC careers.
Oops. Let's try that again.
Good Samaritan College of Nursing and Health Science is a private, nonprofit.
All right. And you could see that it had the underline and it had the blue word, which Armand would see as gray. Do you think that would help Armand? All right, let's look at our next one. Kai. Now, Kai is a researcher who takes in lots of information in her workplace, and she has dyslexia. We don't know what kind of dyslexia she has, but we know she has dyslexia. Because remember, there are umpty dozen different combinations that could be dyslexia. It could be lack of word recognition, lack of word pronunciation. It can be a combination of those. It can be letter reversals. It can be so many different things. So what would you give Kai? Besides text to speech, that one's always obvious. What else would you give her? A dictionary, good. What else? Anything else? Well, I'm going to go over to text aid, and I'm going to look at this. This is the catcher in the rye, but this could be some of the research she's doing. And you mentioned a dictionary. When I highlight, notice I have dictionary on a pop-up. We'll make that larger so you can see it. And now I'm going to click on dictionary. And I get this message that says we're basically using an online Oxford style dictionary. I'm going to say, I understand. It's an adverb, means most certainly as far as one knows or can tell. And I can listen to that.
1. Probably adverb. A. Almost certainly. As far as one knows or can tell.
Okay, so that's one thing that could be done. Another thing that can be done is in our reading area, we can do text selection. And with text selection, when I click on this paragraph and I can choose what paragraph I want, just by moving my mouse, it's going to read that one paragraph. So it's going to chunk the material so that she can absorb more of what she's doing.
He didn't used to. He used to be just a regular writer when he was home. He wrote this terrific.
And you can see that was allowing us to do that. Now, if we were on a site where we have click and listen like we do over here, we can turn that on. And that allows us to click on something and it's going to read.
Good Samaritan College of Nursing and Health Science is a private, non-profit, Catholic college.
Now, the click and listen is going to chunk the material just like the text selection is. And chunking material for a student that has dyslexia and large amounts of research is important. Now, other things that can help the student is we can put this in text mode. And with text mode, we can pick our font size. And I'm going to pick a +3. I'm going to leave it on Arial. And I'm going to put it as black on light pink. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put spacing between my words. Now, I'm going to now view this in text mode. Notice that I have the space between the letters so that I can do some decoding in my reading. And I can press right up here and listen to it.
About us. Good Samaritan College of Nursing.
And if you wanted to, you could go down and highlight a sentence somewhere down in it, and you get a pop-up listen button where you could listen to just that. Those are some things that I would suggest for Armand. Excuse me, Kai. Forgot who I was working with. Our next persona is Sam. And Sam is Samantha, and she is just overwhelmed by large amounts of text in her new career. She's ADHD, but she hasn't disclosed that at her work. She gets screen fatigue and migraines. What would you give to Samantha if she had disclosed? Screen masking, black background, I would suggest some type of chunking, and having children and a husband who both have ADD or ADHD. They're all adults, but teaching them how to learn to read and everything was quite challenging because we had the squirrel effect quite frequently, where they would be reading and then they're off in another area somewhere else, not where I needed them to be. So that was very challenging. So let's look at what Sam can do. Well, first off, she's got a lot of text. So one thing that she might do is have that text uploaded into TextAid. And I'm going to go down here to reading area, and we can still use the chunking. And in the text, I'm seeing a black background and white font. Well, we can't quite accomplish that, but what we can accomplish, and I have to trick it here, I'm going to give it a light blue font and a black background. That's the closest that we can do. Text size and text font, we can also choose. We can put some spacing in there if we want to, but she really doesn't need the spacing. Another thing that we can do is with the reading, we need to pick a voice, and I'm going to choose Kayla. We can set the reading speed. And one of the things that I found out working with my family with ADHD was they actually needed a little bit faster reading speed so that they could move the speed that their brain was moving. And the way it was best explained to me is part of the brain is moving at one speed and part of the brain is moving at another speed. And actually, caffeine helps because it tends to make the two sides of the brain work at the same speed. So what they may prefer is maybe 115, 120. We're just going to listen to a little bit.
Where I want to start telling is the day I left Pensy Prep. Pensy Prep is the school that...
Now, we talked about the background. So I'm putting this over in the background. And you see when I hover, I can't see that paragraph at all. But
Where I want to start telling is the day I left Pensy Prep. Pensy Prep is the school that's in Hagerstown, Pennsylvania. You probably heard of it.
And what I wanted you to see is once I clicked on the paragraph, my notations that I was using for it, the underline, the paragraph, that comes from the chunking of text selection and the green sentence and blue word. If you are using this type background, you want to make certain that the colors that you're choosing for your highlighting is what you want. And I think that's under highlighting. Yes, it is. And I could change that to whatever I wanted it to be. I can also use the underlines if I want. And in text, whoops, I already looked at text. I want reading. Nope. I'm getting the cart ahead of the horse here. Here, I can put in my text spacing if I want it. It will take a little bit of time since this is a book for that to show up in the background. But I could also change my font to my font of comfort. And that brings up something that you have to think about. Your comfort font is the one you started to read with. Excuse me. And that comfort font for some people is going to be Open Dyslexic font because they were forced to use that when they started reading. We do offer that if that is the comfort font. Mine is either the Arial or the Helvetica. Those two are my favorite, and I really can't tell the difference between them. I can change the font size, but we know that she has migraines. So with migraines, she may want this. And that means...
Where I want to start telling is the day.
And it's taking its time going back to layout mode. I'm going to go to another document, which is a little bit easier to see. I'm going to put this in text mode, and we see now the type thing that I was showing you about the softer background. You could also make this a light yellow. That helps. Now, I noticed that you said masking. And with masking, we have some tools, but we first have settings. And with settings, we can choose what color we want the mask and what color we want the focus area to be. Now, right now, I've got a pink mask. I like yellow, so I'm going to use yellow. I can make this totally transparent or totally blocked out. Well, we're trying to read it, so we do want some. I'm going to put it a little bit more than halfway. And I like a black mask, and I want that to be pretty substantial. So I'm going to move it to there. I do like a green ruler, and I do like it blacked out for the most part. Now, if I go over here and I choose my page mask, I can now move it up and down, and I can use this with the listen button and have the two going, but I'm going to need to move my mask, and I can make it larger. I can make it smaller, and that puts me into that focused group. The other thing I can do is the reading ruler. Again, I can make it larger or smaller. That helps keep me on site. If I am on a website, the text mode is great for that. We'll pull that back down. And we do have light blue on black for those that prefer that type information. Now, the cool thing about text mode when you're in our full player and not in text state is you can adjust the width of this box, and you can adjust it to the width of your eyes. So you're reading straight down and not left, right. And that helps prevent some of those squirrel moments, as I called them, with my kids as they were growing up, because in that process, when they have their left-right movements, they just keep going to the left or going to the right, and they see something and they're off topic at that point in time. Questions so far? Okay. The ReadSpeaker advantage, as you have heard me say earlier, it's very easy to implement. We have downloading to MP3s. That is great for your ADD, ADHDs. It's also good for those that are on the go. It's good for your dyslexic students because they can listen. And a lot of dyslexic students have developed the ability to listen quicker than trying to read it. We have enlarged text, synchronized highlighting. You've seen that. Text mode. We do work with the proctoring systems and with human-like voices. I want to explain our process. We start with voice actors, and with those voice actors, we have them record a certain script, and then our linguistic team slices and dices up those sounds made in the words so that they can then use machine generation to create all the words that you're asking for. And let's say you've got a name that is not indicative of the typical language. For instance, I'm going to use a college example. We have a college that is very close to the Canadian border, but is in the United States. The president is French. So the English voice pronouncing the French name was not very good. So we put the French pronunciation into the English voice so that it was pronounced correctly. We can make those customizations. We can also take the acronym and read out what it really is, or vice versa. When it has the full name, we can say the acronym. We can put in those reading rules. And that's kind of cool because then that lets the folks that are absorbing this information absorb it the way that it needs to be absorbed. And we have this for websites as well as learning management systems. Now, I would like to thank you for being with us today. And I know I went through a lot of stuff fast. And there is one thing I do want to go back and show you. And if you are out on a generalized website, let's say we're on this website. This is Disability Rights New Jersey. And in the upper left, that is actually an image that goes to a link. I can use this little guy right here that looks like a sheet of paper, looks like a picture frame. And when I click on it, I draw a box around what I want read. When I release my mouse, it is going to OCR what is there.
Disability Rights New Jersey. Advancing justice. Advocating inclusion.
So not only can you read websites, if you bump into where there is text on images and you need to read that text, our snapshot tool, which is what I've just shown you, can do that. And again, thank you. Colleen's email address is on the QR code, or you can email me, ginger.dewey. Notice Dewey is D as in David, E-W-E-Y, at readspeaker.com. If you would like more information, I'll be glad to demo it for you with specifics in mind. Any questions?
Ginger, thanks so much. That was really great. I'm a big fan of the MP3 download feature of tools like yours, because I think that flexibility of giving someone options of where that material ends up on their
Mhm.
personal device is so huge. And I love that. I think that's great.
I am a big fan of it also because I am let's put it this way, I need a 12-step program for ebooks because I listen to them all the time. Audible is my best friend.
Yeah.
So I am a big fan of that. And the reason why I'm such a big fan of it is I can listen to it 2 or 3 times and catch things that I did not catch the first time. And I maybe would have skipped over it when I was reading.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's why I like it. I can catch all those other nuances in it.
I think that makes a lot of sense. That's great. Awesome. Anybody
Thank
else?
you,
Any
Alicia.
questions? Feel free. You can turn your mics on. You could put in the chat whatever works for you.
Thank you.
All right.
And Mike, I got it in 25
You
minutes.
did see it all works itself out, Ginger, right? That's what I said. It
That's
all
right.
works out.
Mike and I were chuckling before the session because Colleen was supposed to be with me today and I had not practiced her part. So I was winging it through those slides that were hers, and I wasn't certain I can get through in the 30-minute time frame. So I was trying my best to keep my cell phone pace over here.
Did outstanding. It was very, very good. I appreciate the dive into all the different features. It was excellent. Uh, I'm not seeing any questions from anybody else, so I guess I will let us all go back to our day. Ginger, thank you so much again for
Thank you.
joining us and sharing. Everybody who took the time to join us, I appreciate it. I will process the recording and I will send the link out to anyone who registered. So you should all get a link to the recording as well to follow up on it.
Thank you. And if you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Um, I will be glad to do demos or anything else for you.
Sounds good. Great. Thanks, Ginger. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Thanks, everybody.
Wait a minute. Will it work with students
Oh,
um, who is Usher syndrome? Do they work the same way as low vision? Explain to me what Usher syndrome is. I'm not familiar with that one.
I don't know if you can hear me now. Can you hear me, Ginger?
we
Yes, I
can.
can.
I'm from Mount Berkeley Community College in New Jersey, and I find that the ReadSpeaker is very informative for the students who does not know how to use the Kurzweil
Mhm.
or JAWS, and they're not comfortable with them. But I think that the ReadSpeaker will probably be good for them. But I think it's really, it takes time to train them how you use them and understand them, because I, what I'm thinking here about the usher system is people when they looking straight ahead and looking at it. I know the usher system make if their vision are very narrow, where they're
Mhm.
now, and they're not going to be able to read. I mean, looking at it by when you see what you just did, Ginger. When you did that, you underline and you color on the font, you know. And I'm thinking is that if I have a share system and looking at it, I will probably just looking at it's hard to explain. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, and I did a quick Google and it says it affects both hearing and vision. So to me, what you're describing is sort of like what I call a focal vision. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some hearing difficulties. What I would do in a case like that is in a learning management system, you can narrow up your page and use enlarged text. And that enlarged text, you can take it up to where it's about an inch, inch and a half in height. And the narrow page, you could narrow that page down to where it was the width of that vision so that you could get that. Now, for the hearing part, that's going to be difficult for anyone with a hearing disability. Um, You could always crank the volume up, change the voice to one that you hear the pitches better with, and we could work with you to make certain you have that type voice delivered to your institution. For instance, I have some hearing deficit. I have 5 tones that I don't hear. And very well, it sounds like Charlie Brown's mom. And if I don't have my hearing aids in and someone's talking to me like that, I've got to face them and lip read to know what they say. But otherwise, I hear fine. So I choose a voice that doesn't hit those tones in its natural cadence. And we have one that hits a lot of those tones for me. So I never use that one. I always pick a different one.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So maybe that could be an alternative in the student that has Usher syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I know I am deaf myself. I have a hearing aid and I lip read it, and I'm looking at the closed caption, but I could hear at the same time. But we have some students who is deaf and do not speak very well, and thinking I know there's a language. One the students that come from Colombia, and she's just learning how to, learning with English. So by looking at the tools on there, and if they have language, if they have different languages like translating into Spanish
Yes.
on there.
We do use Google Translate, which means more than a word or a phrase, the sentence structure may not be correct. For instance, in English, it is red dress. In Spanish and French, it is dress red because they interchange where the modifiers are in the sentence structure. But the student would get a gist of it. A second language learner, what we always suggest is to use the enlarged font, crank it up to a +4, +5, +6 on the regular website, and slow the reading speed down to about 80. This lets the student hear every single syllable in the word as it is being said. And that allows them to hear where the accent is. And one of the things about learning a second language is not knowing where the accent is in the new language. You know where it is in your language, but where is it in the new language? So in Spanish, it's typically at the end of the word, where in English, it's typically on the first or second syllable. So this lets the second language learner start learning to expect more word after the accent when they are speaking English. And when they're speaking Spanish, they know they're going to the next word in their sentence or whatever.
Okay. All right.
If you would like for me to do a demo where we can look at this together and specifics.
I'm gonna going back and forth with email because I have took training before with you, Ginger, about with when the ATN, the alternate text network, they're back now, but
Correct.
I don't know if they are run. I mean, are they is it the same steps as before with ATN?
From what I understand, the answer there is yes. I do understand there's quite a lag from application to it being your account sent to you. I saw someone on an ahead post recently that said they applied back in the beginning of August and they just got it like last week. So there's a heavy lag in that process, but it is apparently the same steps. It's just they're having to rebuild the entire database for the customers because that had to be dumped when the project was temporarily ended.
Yeah, their responses are very delayed. And things.
Yes.
Yeah.
If
Now,
you have books with Bookshare, we do have Bookshare integrated into our text aid where the student can bring that over automatically. They just log into their Bookshare account, put in their ISBN number, and it downloads into text aid. So we do have that integration, which has helped a lot during this downtime, but It's not going to cover everything because Bookshare is more, I like to think of it as more K-12 and pleasure reading than college level or workplace level.
Okay, so are you suggesting that the students should use a Bookshare to get the textbook in there, and then will ReadSpeaker you have the textbook there? I'm not sure. How does that work between these two?
I'll be
With
glad to show you how it works. It's basically if the textbook is in Bookshare, you can download it directly into TextState as a EPUB or PDF, and then you have all your reading tools and annotation tools available for you to use.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the reason, I mean, um, the students could set up their own account, or
Exactly.
okay, that's
Exactly.
explaining.
Bookshare is free to students who need that accommodation,
Yeah.
my
Okay.
understanding. And the best way to search Bookshare is with the ISBN number because I'll take a study in Scarlet. There's about 12 different versions of it out there. You want to make certain you're getting the one that your professor is using. So if you search by ISBN number, you get that particular version.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I would like to make this arrangement with you, Ginger, because I don't want to take of your time, and then maybe the other people wanted to just have questions or something. So I will get in touch with you, Ginger. Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to also very quickly put up in the chat my calendar, where if you want to schedule directly on my calendar, you can.
Okay. So I can
Now
look up.
in chat, if you click on that, you can make an appointment with me at a daytime that works best for you.
Click on them. Yeah. Where's the calendar when I look up? You mean on this Zoom or?
Yeah,
Look
at
in
least if
chat.
you open the chat
Okay, where I'm looking at is
in the
something.
chat, there's a link in the chat now to Ginger's
And it's down
calendar.
at, it's the last entry.
Oh, I see that. I didn't see it. It was his chat was in behind, so I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I just click on that and I'm looking into that.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly. It takes you directly to my calendar. Then you find the daytime that works for you, click on it, put in your name and what you want to talk about and your email address, and then it sets up the appointment.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. And I really like it's very informative right now in the brief because I think it's going to be much easier for the student to, sometimes they're very slow processing, and I think that's going to work for them. Yeah. So thank you again. Thanks, Mike.
Good, of
Thank
course,
you.
You're
Elise.
welcome.
Thank you. Thanks
Okay.
for your questions, Elise. Appreciate it. It was great. Right.
And thank you for
Excellent.
everyone else who has joined us. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Or if you would like to make an appointment on my calendar, you can use that link also to make the appointment.
Sounds good. Everyone, again, thank you so much. This was great. I'm glad we got that little extra couple minutes, and that was a great kind of real world example there, Elise. So thank you.
Yes, it was. And I learned something because I'd
And,
never
and
heard
me
of
too.
this syndrome. So
That's
I
the
was
beauty
doing a
of it,
quick
right?
Google on the side.
Love it. All right,
Are you,
everybody. Very good. Well, thank you again. Ginger, thank you again. Everybody else, thank you for your participation. And we hope to see you at one of our tech spotlights soon.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. See you.